Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, because right now we are still crashing to the downside here after confirming this bearish divergence on the 4-hour time frame around this all-time high. Now, if you're not familiar with what a bearish divergence actually is, it shows up when you have higher highs in the Bitcoin price and lower highs in the RSI momentum indicator. And typically it points towards a break from all of this bullish price action that we have been seeing here recently, either in the form of some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bearish momentum in the short term. And of course, so far we have seen a little bit of that bearish momentum. So that is kind of the backdrop with which I am analyzing this. So do I think that this is some kind of major correction for Bitcoin where we need to drop like 40% or something like that? The thing is, even if we end up seeing that, it is simply too early to be talking about that already. For example, if I'm taking a look at these Fibonacci levels here, currently we are trading right on top of that 0.5 Fibonacci level, sitting at 92.4K. And in the case that we actually confirm a break below here with a 4-hour candle close, then I will be looking at this Fibonacci golden pocket sitting between 90.6K and 90.1K for the Bitcoin price. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the key level to hold for Bitcoin, because if we start getting daily candle closes below this 90K level for Bitcoin, then it is starting to look a little bit more bearish, and potentially we need to start coming down even further to grab more liquidity to the downside. Now, long term, yes, I am still bullish on Bitcoin. However, in the more short term here, for example, on this 1 day time frame, we have another bearish divergence that has already confirmed. So again, we have higher highs in the Bitcoin price, lower highs in the RSI momentum indicator. And again, this is pointing towards Bitcoin cooling off a little bit after all of this crazy bullish momentum that we have been seeing here recently. Okay, so sideways or potentially even some bearish momentum on that 1 day time frame is looking to be likely. But as I said, so long as we hold above that Fibonacci golden pocket on the 1 day time frame, then as far as I'm concerned, not much is really going on. If we, for example, do something like this, and then there is still that possibility of getting a resumption to the upside before getting more downside, right? Another thing that is actually noteworthy on these higher time frames is this 1.618 Fibonacci level sitting at 89.1K. I would say that on these higher time frames, this is really a critical level to hold in terms of candle closes, because cutting below that 89K level, then it is starting to get a little bit more sketchy. I think if we really undercut that 90K level, I will start looking at something like this in terms of a Fibonacci retracement. But again, for now, I think it is a little bit early to be talking about that. And besides that, if I'm taking a look at the 2-week Bitcoin liquidation heat map, you can see that we have quite a bit of liquidity to the downside, about $350 million worth of long positions sitting at 91K. And we have quite a bit of short positions here sitting at the all-time high. Zooming out even further, for example, to this 1 month time frame, you can see that there is actually quite a bit of liquidity still quite close to where we are currently trading. And this goes as low as about 88.5K. But for now, on this 1 month time frame, most of the liquidity is in fact to the upside at 99.9K. So if we continue to go lower and lower here, perhaps even down to that 88.5K level, well, at that point, what are we looking at in terms of this Bitcoin liquidation heat map? Then we are looking at all of that liquidity to the downside that was close to the price, at least, having been taken out. And then all there is left is a massive pocket of liquidity to the upside at the all-time high. So the lower we go, the more likely it is that eventually we are going to take out that big level of liquidity, in my personal opinion. Now, I know that there's also the case like, yeah, well, what about this big level of liquidity at about 75K, for example, right? But again, I think for now, we are still just above some critical levels of support. If we start breaking and losing those levels of support, then I can potentially start talking about some lower levels of liquidity. But for now, that is simply not the case. And the way that I am personally dealing with this situation is that I am still in my long position from about 69K. But besides that, I'm also taking advantage of all of this volatility in the market by just leverage trading the lower time frames. Let's now take a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. Yesterday, we actually saw a massive outflow of about $430 million from these Bitcoin ETFs. So we are now finally starting to see some bigger outflows from these ETFs once again. And so long as these Bitcoin ETFs keep dumping hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin on the markets every single day, then obviously this is going to have a downwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. So for now, I will continue to keep an eye on this every single day, of course. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.